Okay, Ahmad, thanks for joining us again. Let's look at the impacts. I mean, of internet shutdowns in Africa. How will it impact Africa generally?
I think we have already become kind of slaves of the internet now. So I don't think cutting out the internet would help anyone. So there will be a lot of things that would go off. Earlier on, I think I see a lot of people being online for the sake of social media networking. But nowadays, we're seeing a lot of change. People are learning more development and technology and many things to use the internet for their own good instead of just a social network. So I think if internet has been shut down in Africa, we would see a huge, for example, knowledge in particular, education. Most of our students now are kind of internet babies. So they the things, learn things. So, and I see people also taking courses online. So I think there'll be a huge impact on that. And more specifically, I think the future of Africa relies on the internet now, because we had a lot of gap in the olden days, but now technology and internet has brought the gap closer, so that people from here can also learn what's happening in other countries and what's the trending information or knowledge that they need to learn and acquire.
All right, but I mean, when the shutdowns actually go on, there is usually or mostly a reason for it. For example, when it happened in Nigeria in the northeast, it was due to insecurity. When it happened just recently in Ethiopia, it was due to I think examination for students. When it happened in Egypt, it was due to political dissent and thereabout. I mean, how justifiable do you think these could be? For these reasons?
You see, I think a good thing I could say is that you can't just take off something that people rely on, like that people live on, because of one or two insecurities or stuff like that. So if for example we have a lot of cyber attack on the internet and then the solution is to take off the internet, then I don't think it's more like running away from the problem instead of finding a solution for it.
No, interesting. So you say, in a nutshell, you're saying that sometimes it is justifiable.
Yeah. So I think most of the time is the fear, like fear of change or something. Like, you know, I remember back then in my school when I was in secondary school and we could not enter our class when we were writing an exam, we couldn't enter with the phones and stuff like that because the school thinks that, okay, students will cheat in their examination. But as time goes on, people begin to understand that, okay, there's a lot of ways that they could tackle that. And I wrote a Cambridge exam in Kano some years back, and I realized that it's allowed. You can enter with your phone. So they understand that, okay, technology is there, but they have to find a way to kind of mitigate it from affecting student examination by using devices or stuff to disconnect them within the examination hall. So things like that should be a kind of strategies should be taken when there's situations like that where there's the need for something, then the solution needs to be taken, not wipe it off entirely or run away from it.
All right, so there's a threat by Afrinic, and they're saying that they will shut down totally or cut out countries who shut down their internet. They're going to cut out their IP addresses. Do you think that is the right step in the right direction, or do you think that will deter African countries from shutting down the internet timely?
I think that's not a step in the right direction. Like I said, there are a lot of ways to actually filter. I'll tell you a little bit of my little experience. I know. So there are a lot of filtering available on routers, filtering available on the network providers. So I think censorship should be the best thing to do. Like the internet can be fully censored. And I can tell you for a fact that I don't know other countries in Africa, but I know about few countries in Africa that have censored the internet the government has done a lot of work in terms of censoring the internet. They know what you're accessing. They know the level of freedom you have on the internet. So there are ways that they can restrict what they don't want access to and allow access for what they want access to. In other people's opinion, this is more like kind of, I don't think so. It's good for our children that are coming up, because there's a lot of information on the internet that is not good for them. So, but the adults would think that, okay, I should have a freedom to access whatever I want to access. In my own opinion, I think that's not right. The right way is to allow certain body or a certain organization that should be in place, like NCC, for example, should be able to kind of filter the access level that we have in Nigeria. That would solve, for example, I'm just giving an example with Nigeria. That would solve a lot of problems that are relating to such issues that would cause the internet to be. I'll take us back. There are countries that have blocked WhatsApp, for example, because the countries felt like, okay, it's a threat to them or something. And I think that's allowed. That should be okay. If something is not good for the country or it's not good for a certain age range, then there should be a censorship on it.
So moving forward, what do you think we can do to stop these shutdowns?
People tend to like go for petitions and stuff like that. I think I can count how many petitions I've signed myself. So I don't know if that works, but I think people can stand up and be against that, and then things should be considered. I mean, by the number of people who are against. Another thing is, like I said, there should be option of censorship. And then awareness as well. Like, you know, sometimes I see a lot of businesses or organizations, even the government, doing things without explanations, you know, like just cut off something or just out of the blue, no explanation, nothing, just something comes and block your face, you know. So you'd be shocked what's going on. So awareness is very good. It's very good, and I think there should be a lot of it before any action is taken.
All right, we're now moving into the fourth industrial revolution. How do you think this will aid or mar Africa's move to fully key into this revolution?
So I think it's kind of, what should I say? Revolution is already here. Like, nobody can stop it. I mean, when I started having internet access, for example, I was very young, and I know what it was, what the impact it would have on me and stuff like that. But now people have already understand what this thing is, and so there's already a fast-moving kind of train where everybody's just jumping on board and everybody's jumping on board. And the truth is, internet has revolutionized not just African countries. We've already seen it in European countries, Asian countries. So I think internet and technology is definitely going to revolutionize wherever it finds itself. Any country, any even countries that are under sanction, for example, have access to internet, and they use internet to do all sort of campaigns and fights against certain things and activists and all of that. So there's no way I can see how I mean, we don't take leverage of that and see a huge change in our course of life, in our course of lives. I mean, activities and everything is just going to change. Like, we can't run away from it.
Well, I hope we don't run away from it, like you said, but then let's just wrap the conversation here. Ahmed Mukoshy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.